There's been a lot of buzz about the coronavirus, uh, perhaps that the media is not telling us everything that's going on and that it's actually worse than the media is conveying. I have a friend who travels a lot, and she was saying that it's way worse than what the media is telling us. So I find that interesting. If this is, in fact, one of those fear-mongering tactics, you would think that they'd be telling us more than what's true, maybe. So I find that that's interesting. So I want to ask Prime Creator about it again to see if there's any new information or updated information, because in my mind, if it is something that they're using to perpetuate fear, why aren't the news outlets telling more? And honestly, I don't know what the news outlets are saying because I don't watch the news. So we'll ask Prime Creator about that, and then also for the March energy forecast. Dear ones, the coronavirus is an example of the old paradigm, the outdated matrix systems. What I am saying is it is an effect of things that were put in place many years ago that are now coming into your physical reality, but they can only stay in your physical reality if you, as a collective, allow it. In other words, this was a plan that was put into place many years ago that even though things have shifted and that light has won, so to speak, even though the frequency on your planet and within the collective is indeed higher, there still holds enough lower frequency within the collective to allow something like this to come forth into physical reality. But it is a frequency thing, meaning that something like the coronavirus can only stay and be perpetuated within the collective if the frequency holds it, if the frequency allows it. And so your work as light workers, as those in the collective listening to this, is to work on your own frequency first and send into the collective energy high frequency thoughts, high frequency vibrations, high frequency emotions, meaning to stay away from fear, to stay away from doomsday type thinking or disaster scenario type thinking. Now, there is nothing wrong with taking practical steps to protect yourself at a physical level, such as wearing masks or washing your hands, etc. There is nothing wrong with these types of things, but it is the energy that is behind your actions that makes the difference. And so if you wish to protect yourself, if you wish to stay healthy, it is important that your frequency is reflecting this and your frequency is radiating the energies of health, vitality, safety, etc. This channel is asking, is it true that the media is not reporting how bad this really is? The media is leaving out some crucial details because if too much was reported, it would be more obvious that this is a setup or a psyop. If the media were to report everything they know, it would blow the cover, so to speak, of the creation of this in the first place. Now, I will say that you are getting close to more being revealed through the media about how this virus was fabricated. And so you may see this being revealed in your mainstream media in the next few months. But at this time, they are keeping the lid on things, so to speak. They are not sharing everything they know. Would anyone like to ask questions specific to this topic at this time, dear ones?
Yes, I have one. What is a physical condition for that virus to survive or grow? Like, how long can it survive in the desert or in the Arctic and with the contact to other people? Does it die after a few days or weeks in the nature itself?
This is a very good question, dear one. Because it is not completely natural, it can survive much longer in harsh conditions because it is not necessarily condition dependent. It is frequency dependent. So, for example, if the virus ends up in a place on planet Earth where the life, the beings, the humans are steadily in a higher frequency, there will be nothing to magnetize the codes of this virus to the life. But if it ends up in a place where the frequencies are lower, it will be able to survive much longer, up to several years even. It is a bit tricky because it is a mix of something similar to AI as well as some natural conditions. For example, it has the ability to mutate. So it is not a clear cut, if we do this, the virus will be eliminated, or if we do that, the virus will disappear. Even the antidotes, or the so-called vaccines that will be coming forth potentially, these will not be a true antidote, dear ones, because they cannot account for how the virus can adapt. This is not what you will be told, but this is the truth of it. And so it may seem like I am painting a scenario here which does not bode much hope for humanity. However, humanity is still in the position of power. Meaning, when you recognize the power you have to regulate your frequency, your thoughts, your emotions, or your emotional flow, rather. When you realize the power that you have, this changes everything. And while there are a few layers of nuance to what I am saying, I think you will get the overall picture that the most important thing is to still do your inner work, to still raise your frequency consistently. On top of this, you have many forms of light flooding your planets. We have talked about this before. Many forms of light from many different places. And so you are receiving much assistance. And what is glorious about this light is that it is able to disassemble manufactured diseases and viruses such as the coronavirus. And so it is not your responsibility only, but you are receiving much assistance from many other realms. And so I ask you, dear ones, not to engage in fear and worry about this, because so much of the old paradigm still lingering is beyond your control, but what is in your control is your response and your creation of life. What makes the coronavirus unique is the way in which it was constructed. It has, and this channel is not familiar with all the terminology, but I will do my best through her. It has a mix of something similar to AI technology, and this is mixed with human DNA, which gives it the ability to adapt or mutate. What is good about this is that the technology piece cannot be more powerful than the human heart and the frequency that you emanate. On the downside, the ability of this virus to mutate is what makes it more dangerous for humanity, and the ability to spread. And the technology piece allows it to lie dormant and survive many situations than a normal, naturally occurring virus would. This is a little bit different than previous manufactured viruses. But it is not something that will be able to sustain itself on planet Earth as humanity and the collective energy continues to move in the direction of higher frequency and love, which is indeed what is occurring now on your planet. Are there any other questions about this topic, dear ones?
Yes, I have two questions. First, you see this influenza virus and with SARS virus, always when the weather gets warmer at April, May, the influenza virus and the SARS virus disappears. And you can also see it with, I think, a little bit with coronavirus, that the new impact rates are getting fewer. Does this also have to do something with the temperature, or is this virus immune against temperature, like when you compare it to influenza or SARS? I think because it's very clear that they are temperature dependent.
Yes, dear one. This has much to do with the immunity systems of the humans, which go up with increased sunlight exposure. And so it depends upon what part of the world you are in, what hemisphere of the planet you are in, that you will see the incidence increasing or decreasing Overall, it is a bit different than the other viruses you have mentioned. And so you may see that the numbers begin increasing again, of course, depending upon which places you get your information from, because some are not reporting accurately. You will see this for the next 6 months at least be an issue on planet Earth. And it depends upon, again, the response of humans, how long this virus will stay here on the planet. You have another question, dear one.
Yes, I have a question according to the media, because there is a Illuminati connection when they try to change the truth, or so how can I understand this? There must be an Illuminati connection, or how does this work out, that they change the truth, and I can't really understand why they are doing this.
Yes, dear one. As you may know, your mainstream media outlets have been controlled largely by the cabal or the Illuminati. This is shifting, dear ones. This is changing. You will see more truth being reported. But this is still, there are still many lingering paradigms or matrix systems that are expressed through your media. Are there any other questions about the coronavirus, dear ones?
Alissa? Yeah.
Yes, hello. I have a question regarding that. My father started making nanoparticulate silver, and when Ebola came out, it stopped it, because we sent gallons and gallons and gallons of silver to the doctors in charge of the Ebola studies. Now, this has been shown, and I have the paperwork here, to cure any known human pathogen, virus, bacterial infection, microbacterial infection, fungus. So the H1N1, any flu virus, HIV, AIDS, cancer, tuberculosis, malaria, any skin conditions, any virus, anything, it cures it. We're not allowed to say it's because it's not approved by the FDA, but I still make that. Now, how would I go about distributing this to people? But because what I can do is I Reiki the silver when I make it, so I can change it so that it can adapt to people when they ingest it, so that it can morph with the virus and eliminate that on a frequency level. I'm just wondering how I should go about distributing it.
Dear one, if you are wanting to distribute it to the masses, this is a huge effort on your part. So you would need to enroll the assistance of distributors in order to get this out to many people. What I would suggest is starting with those in your local area, such as health food stores or doctors, or really anyone who is open to using it or distributing it local. And this will offer some protection and some higher frequencies for your local area. And if you feel the ambition, you could also set up a website to let people make purchases of this product.
There was something, what I heard, does that 5G or other electronic frequency influence that virus too, make it stronger or weaker?
Very good question, dear one. Give me a moment with this channel, please. It does not have direct effect or direct influence, but it can have indirect influence as 5G can lead to lower frequency thoughts, a weaker emotional body, lowered immune systems, etc. In this way, it can make humanity more susceptible to this virus, but in an indirect way. They are not directly linked. Dear ones, March is a month of change, positive change in many regards. And I would encourage you, dear ones, even if the changes do not seem positive at first, to go with it as best you can, because these changes are leading to things of great positivity. This could happen for many of you in your personal lives, as well as in the collective energy, in your governments, in your financial systems. Things are shifting more rapidly, and the momentum for shift and positive change has gained much ground. You are rapidly approaching a tipping point where the positive changes will occur with more regularity. And again, even if these changes do not seem positive at first, to remember that all must change in order for the positive outcomes. You will continue with the rays of light coming to your planet that have been present. As of this current timeline, there are no new energies scheduled. March is more of a time to implement and allow the changes that have been set into motion. It is a time for you to work with your grounding so that as these changes take effect, you are balanced and stable and feeling secure. It is a time to work with your gratitude, to remember that there is much to be grateful for as things shift and change for the better. It is a time for some of you to focus on your health, remembering to stay hydrated, remembering to eat foods of the greatest purity possible. For some of you, it would be beneficial to go through a short cleanse. You can tune into your body to see if this is right for you, or engage the assistance of a health practitioner. It is a time to work on being human, dear ones. Meaning, many of you have been quite focused on your ascension path, developing your spirituality, developing your spiritual gifts, and there is nothing wrong with this, and this is celebrated, dear ones. And for some of you in that process, you have neglected a bit your humanity, your human body, your human energy field, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. And so it is important to bring your attention back to being human. And I assure you, dear ones, your spiritual gifts will not disappear when you do this. The openings and the expansions you've been having in your spiritual nature will not disappear or be diminished. In fact, when you are more grounded in your human form and your human existence, indeed, your spiritual gifts can blossom and flourish to a greater degree because your foundation is stronger, because your link to planet Earth is deeper and more secure. And so that will be my invitation for you for the month of March, dear ones, to focus on being human, to focus on sharing your humanity with others. Again, as many of you have been in an inward journey, for some of you, it is time to begin moving more outward, putting your energies more outward, to share what you have learned, to share your newfound radiance or your new spiritual gifts. Whatever it is for you, dear one, it is time to begin moving more outward. Now, you will know if this message is for you. You will feel it in your heart. You will feel it in your gut. You will feel a rush of inspiration as you hear this. If you feel no resonance with this part of the message, simply move on to the next part, dear one. This was very specifically for some of you, but not all. At this time, does anyone have questions about the energies of March and what I have just shared?
Is there anything special coming up for the spring equinox with energies?
Thank you, dear one. This is a grounding point for change. I will say it in this way. It is, the equinox is a special anchoring for the change that is coming and the change that is currently occurring. It will allow the changes and assist the changes to be more anchored in planet Earth and within your beings as humans. And so it is a day where, or not just the day, but the few days surrounding the equinox, where you may feel more grounded, you may feel more rejuvenated if you are in alignment with the rhythms of what I have described.
Yes, I have a question according to the reptilians who act in the fourth density. And I wanted to know if they are still have a strong presence, and if they are still influencing some people, or what has changed, or is it the same, or how is it with the reptilian beings?
Yes, dear one. First, I have a question for you to clarify the energy of the answer. When you are asking about reptilians of fourth density, are you in the assumption that these reptilians are negative beings, or are you in the understanding that they are neutral, that some are working for the light and some are working for the shadow?
Yes, I know that some are working for the light, but mostly I think yeah, they refer to the dark, so I'm concerning more about the dark ones.
Yes, dear one. So I can answer your question in this way, that there are fewer reptilians that have the ability to enforce their power for the shadow, and there are now more reptilians that are working with the light. And so the balance there is also shifting. Just as you are seeing things shifting on your planet Earth, it is also in the fourth density, as below, so above, as above, so below. So what is occurring with the reptilians in the fourth density is, much like here, there are still some operating with the energies of the old paradigm, and they are still able to do this because there is enough energy present for old paradigm thoughts and ideas to be carried out. But these thoughts and ideas will not have longevity. They are not a vibrational match to the timelines of the light having more power. I speak it in this way from the framework of polarity to give you an understanding. This is not exactly how this works, but because you as humans are enmeshed in polarity, this will give you an understanding of how things are shifting for the benefit of life in the fourth dimension, the third dimension, the fifth dimension, etc. I will end, dear ones, by inviting you to engage in some celebration in your lives. For when you take the time to celebrate your progress, it invites more progress. It invites more expansion of the work you are doing in this world and your radiance and the frequencies you are emanating. And so I will simply invite you to celebrate, dear ones. I thank you. Well, thank you as always, Prime Creator. And again, if you are seeing this video at the end of the month, hop on over to creationtemple.com to see the video as soon as it's released and to get a head start for your month. Much love, you guys. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I appreciate you.